Today I go ahead and just make everybody mad. Hello and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and today it is World Trotting Wednesday, and I am taking a look at the 2017 movie from Germany, Hagazussa, A Heathen's Curse. This is an interesting one for me because the first film I did when I got back from my break just 2 days ago was Possum, and one of the things that I covered about that was how it doesn't follow any kind of linear storytelling, traditional, A, B, C, D of a plot, and I'll be honest, those don't come along every day, yet here we are again. If I were to break this movie down, well, first of all, I'll describe the plot as it's written for the summary for IMDb here. The dark legend of the young woman Albrun and her struggle to preserve her own sanity, and tries to explore the fine line between ancient magic, faith, and madness at a time when pagan beliefs in witches and nature spirits spread fear and terror in the minds of the rural population. To that I say, yeah, I guess. There's nothing technically that I would find inaccurate about that, but this movie is less about storytelling and more about eliciting a sense of dire gruesomeness from the audience. And in that regard, I'll be perfectly honest, it didn't work that well for me. Not nearly as well as Possum did. I could see what it was going for. The whole concept of art, there's a few definitions, and there's always debate about what it can have no purpose other than itself, things like that. But ultimately, I think it's to elicit an emotion, even if it's not necessarily a positive emotion from the audience, like happiness or lustfulness or anything of the sort. It could be something dreadful. It could be putting the recipient or the viewer of the art into a state of, in this case, I think kind of a sense of loss, a sense of loneliness. And it doesn't do it through storytelling. It does it through soundtrack. It has a very, very understated, kind of unsettling notes, prolonged, notes. It does it through very, very drawn out long shots of very difficult scenes. There are definitely some moments in this one that are difficult to watch, and I could absolutely tell what it was going for. And it's not that I found this to be a bad movie, not in the slightest. The only thing I'll say is that if its primary objective, which I do believe it was to elicit those emotions from me, then it really didn't work on that level to the degree that I think it was going for. Whereas Possum, when I did watch that, I was very firmly in the eyes of the protagonist through the fractured storyline telling that it was doing. This film, if I were to take it and tell a campfire story about the bullet point contents of this film, I would be done with the story before the campers got done with their first s'more. It really doesn't have a whole lot to it in terms of what was actually going on in a linear fashion. But what did go on was told through very unsettling visual imagery that transcended simply, this is what's happening. It does, double exposure shots. It did unsettling soundtracks. It did very extreme close-ups. It had very, very abstract visuals, and accompanying that with very disturbing isolationist imagery. And this is why I said in my little stinger at the beginning there that I'm going to be upsetting everybody with this one, because I'm going to go ahead and throw up all the scores here, and you'll see what I really thought of it. For me, I thought the plot was it was okay. It was average. I really didn't find anything too awful exceptional about it in terms of a written plot. That wasn't the point of this one, I don't believe. There wasn't, anything Shakespearean interwoven characters with, brilliant writing in terms of plot unfolding. It just didn't have that kind of meat on its bones. And the intent, like I said, it just didn't work for me on that level, but I can see how it would work for other people. If it did manage to elicit those emotions that it was going for in you, then you're probably going to love this movie and hate this review. Furthermore, I also have to tip my hat to the acting and the technical achievements of this film, which were superb. Just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean that I don't appreciate it on those levels. And this is also where I get the other side of the coin, where I have a feeling that the people that watch this movie and don't like it are probably going to vehemently not like it. They're going to be railing against it because it really seems to be polarizing. It's one of those things where somebody's going to watch it and probably, if it's not resonating, if it's not clicking with them within the first 30 minutes, then they're probably going to turn it off within the first hour. And they're probably not going to see eye to eye with me on the acting and the technical achievements there either. So I have a feeling I'm upsetting everybody, whether you liked it, loved the movie, or didn't like it. I don't know if this review is going to resonate, but I did find this to be an interesting piece of art that I hope resounds with some people out there, because I think it deserves it. Just because it didn't land with me doesn't mean it won't land with anybody else. And I think that the technical and the acting achievements and what it was going for deserves an audience that has the ability to appreciate it on that level. And, God willing, it does land, because I have a feeling when it does, it's going to land with a sledgehammer. And I think that this was well crafted enough and well thought out enough that it deserves that kind of reception. So 59 out of 100 points. Would I recommend this movie? Oh, that's a really that's a tough one. I really haven't written a whole lot of notes on this one. I'm really just kind of flying off the cuff here. So as far as would I recommend this movie, I got nothing written in front of me. Really, I think what it comes down to is if you are in the mindset to not necessarily enjoy a yarn being told, but to witness a piece of art that is trying to, do what good horror films do and instill that sense of dread in you, and just open yourself up to the visual medium that is cinema, maybe. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. I think I would recommend it for anybody that is willing to take that ride and willing to have an open mind and willing to allow themselves the possibility of feeling those feelings, or at the very least, knowing that if it didn't resonate with them, they at least witnessed an interesting piece of art that is worthy of conversation. So that should about do it. That is my review of Hagazussa, The Heathen's Curse. Thank you very much for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.